Alright, welcome to Slope-Intercept Form, and I actually have the Slope-Intercept Form written right here, and you'll notice that this looks very similar to y equals mx, or the proportional version of a straight line. And the difference between these two is the plus b part. We found out that in a proportional line that m is the slope of a line, okay? So, and we also learned that proportional lines go through 0, 0, or the origin. So that's why there is no plus anything on the proportional line. But here we do have a plus b, where m and b are going to be numbers, m standing for slope, and b is going to be the y-intercept. And the reason this is because even if we use this generic form of the line, remember that the y-intercept happens when x is 0. Well, if I plug 0 in here for x, doesn't matter what m is, I would get m times 0, which is 0, okay? And 0 plus b comes out to b. So no matter what, b is going to be the y-intercept. So what we can look at is proportional lines have the same formula. It's just that b equals 0 in a proportional line. There is no or the y-intercept happens at the origin, and we'll discover that as we move forward. But the slope-intercept form is my favorite form of a line because it's so user-friendly. Remember, you can graph an equation by putting in points, but that sometimes can be messy. Well, if you know and you've got something that's in slope-intercept form, which this one is, we've got a slope, and we have a y-intercept. Okay? My y-intercept, that's exactly where it's going to cross the y-axis, at positive 2 on the y-axis. Remember, this is the y-axis. And then we have a negative 2/3 slope, meaning I'm going to go over 3. So I'm going to put this negative up here with the 2. And actually, it can go anywhere. It could go down here with the 3 or up here with the 2. I just bring it up here with the 2. So basically, I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to go over 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go down to 1, 2. Remember, a negative slope means we're going to continue in that fashion and go downwards like that. Now, I could have gone back 3 from this point, 1, 2, 3, up 2. And you can see that that point would also be on my line eventually. Alright, so that's a very fast way to graph these. So you can always solve for y and graph a slope-intercept very quickly. One other thing we're going to want to be able to do is convert to slope-intercept form. So if we take something like this equation that's already, or it's in standard form, I can turn it into slope-intercept form by solving for y. So I can subtract 4x on both sides, and then I would be left with 2y equals, and I always put my x term first, so I've got negative 4x minus 3, alright? And then we just want to solve for y, so we'll divide by 2. And just remember, I mean, I could write it all like this, all over 2, I have to divide that whole side by 2. But that also means just taking each term divided by 2. So we've got some options here. We now have y equals, and I can do negative 4 divided by 2, which is negative 2x, and then minus 3 over 2, I could leave it just like this, or I could say minus 1/2, or 1.5, sorry, minus 1.5. And this is my slope-intercept form, meaning my graph would cross y at negative 1.5. I would have a slope of negative 2 over 1. So this is my rise and run. Okay, and I forgot to mention that back here when we did this, that remember, rise and run is set up just like that. Okay, and that's where we get that slope from. Alright, and lastly, a couple other things you can do is write some equations. If you are given a graph, you know it's going to be written as y equals mx plus b. Figure out your slope first if you want to. So I'm going to use my rise over run, so between any 2 points, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. So that's my run. And down down 1, so that's negative 1. So negative 1/3 x, and where do I cross the y-axis? 1, 2, 3 at negative 3. So here's my slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 1/3 times x minus 3. And lastly, if we're given some other information, for instance, what's the equation of a line that has a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of 2? Very simple.